Blog Talk Radio.
But we are making a stand, and we're waking everybody up that 9/11 was an inside job. And you are the minority. You are the cowards who don't know the truth. You're the people that serve this evil system. You're the people that serve a system that hurts innocent men, women, and children. Not just Iraqis, not just Afghans, not just Africans, but the people right here in this nation. You serve a new world order that attacks and feeds on you. And I'm here to tell you that you will be defeated. Your hours are numbered. We've got the energy. We've got the life force. All you've got is evil backing you up. All you've got is greed and liking to look at yourself in the mirror. Because deep down, the New World Order is a pot-bellied, chicken-neck ninny. And all the armor and all the weapons are nothing. You are nothing compared to good. You are nothing compared to life. And you will be defeated. I want the individuals out there. I want free humanity to turn themselves loose, to cut the chains loose, and to use the end of that chain to slap the New World Order right upside the head. You've got the power. You want to know who's going to defeat the New World Order? It is you. You're the individuals that are going to be able to defeat this system. You're the individuals that are going to be able to take down the New World Order. It doesn't matter if Ron Paul wins. It doesn't matter if they rig the election. What matters is that we're starting to stand up. We're starting to move. We're starting to find our legs. We're starting to build our muscle. We're starting to realize that we do have power, and we can work together, and we can take action, and that the naysayers are a pack of weak liars who have never had any successes in their life and who are upset and frustrated to see us beginning to have victories against tyranny. They don't have any respect for themselves. They don't have any vision, and they don't have any will. And they sure don't have any of the power that shines out of God's soul and energizes all life in the universe. They have wed themselves to death, and they will crumble, and they will fall, and for eternity we wed ourselves to life, and to everything good, and everything that flows from it.
Renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas and the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Is that possible? He still has the gun. The gun is pointed at me right at this moment. Take a hold of his thumb and break it if you have to. We are to run a we are an explosion, and we are defended immediately. Let's try our best.
People calling themselves members of the Weather Underground last night planted bombs in federal office buildings in Washington and Oakland, California.
They took the babies out of incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Survivors of the USS Liberty are demanding a congressional investigation into what happened, an acknowledgement that the Israeli Air Force bombed a U.S. intelligence Navy ship.
The death of bin Laden marks the most significant achievement to date in our nation's effort to defeat al-Qaeda.
The Taliban is taking responsibility for shooting down a U.S. helicopter. More than 30 people were killed, and there are reports this morning that most of them are U.S. Navy SEALs.
There may be a false flag incident where some ship goes down and be used for the excuse to accelerate the next war.
If there's one thing that has unified Democrats and Republicans, and everybody in between, is that we all hated the bank bailout.
The Department of Homeland Security is apparently on a huge ammo buying spree.
It comes out to like 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition.
Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
They estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill.
I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game.
From the front lines of the
Switches on. Okay, Victor. switch is on. Here comes the throttle. Circuit breakers in. We have separation. Inboard and outboard, they're on. We're coming forward with the side stick. Looks good. Roger. I've got a blowout. Vapor 3. Pitch to 0. Pitch is out. I can't hold altitude. Correction. Elbow is off. Trip selected. Emergency. Flight calm. I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking.
Austin, astronaut, a man barely alive.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man. Steve Austin will be that man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster.
All right, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Joseph Gibson. This is Blog Talk Radio. The title of the show is Understanding the Times in Which We Live in Today. It's Thursday evening, little after 6 p.m. on the East Coast, broadcasting from Greensboro, North Carolina. About 81 degrees down here. So those of you who are getting snow in other parts of the country, eat your hearts out. 81 degrees here. Beautiful weather. Beautiful. This March is absolutely going to be a great month, I could tell. Last year we had snow here in North Carolina around this time, actually, and we got a late start to the season. But this year, things are back to normal. I've already mowed my lawn 3 times. The grass is growing, the flowers are blooming, so this is how it's supposed to be in the South. This is the way the weather is supposed to be. And if you're receiving cold weather up north, or out in Wisconsin where Mike is maybe, or if you're receiving 90-degree heat where Joe in Sebastian, Florida is, then that's the weather you're supposed to be getting. Or where my grandmother used to live up there in North Stratford, New Hampshire, right near the Canadian border. It would snow all the way up to the end of March, first week of April, and then you'd get mud season. And that means all the water and the snow melts, and the water runs down into the springs, off the mountains, and it's all muddy and sloppy out there. But, we'd get the four-wheelers out and the dirt bikes, and play in the mud, drive around on the trails, go up and down. That's what we used to do. And then, you get your end of May, you get June and July, and the first couple weeks of August to grow your garden, grow your potatoes, plant your garden, and then you get your first frost usually at the end of August up there in North Stratford, New Hampshire. And then before you know it, September comes. Guess what? Snow is coming. Starts snowing. Snow, usually I'd say about, it was about mid-September they'd start really getting some, heavy snowstorms there. October, you already got 12 inches on the ground. November, December, January, February, and March, all snow. It snowed when the sun was out. Trust me. The snowbanks were so high, you had to get out there with a tractor or heavy machinery to move the snow around, or, and scrape it off the roof of your cabin. Otherwise, it collapsed. You didn't have electric heat. What, you want a $1,000 electric bill? No, you chopped wood. You used a wood-burning stove. One upstairs, one downstairs. One in the basement, runs the big pipe up through the chimney and heats the whole downstairs. If you have an upstairs loft, which that's what my grandmother had, we had a wood stove upstairs, a smaller one, and that's how you heated the cabin. We didn't have drywall. We had a log cabin. We didn't hear the wind blowing out there. You didn't hear anything outside. Of wood. We had a log cabin. Nice and secure, sturdy. Withstands the elements of outside. But anyway, that's what the weather's like here in Greensboro today. 81 degrees, 82, 83, 84. It's been that way for the past 7 days, so I hope everyone's enjoying it.
And I hope my supporters are out there tonight. I know there's a few people that have not called in that I requested to call in, and I had no guest scheduled for tonight anyway. And I apologize for Sunday. However, Sunday we had some hardware difficulty. And if you remember the show prior to that, we had a little bit of a problem with the technology where the show started 10 minutes late where I couldn't connect even my guests. And that was a big show, actually. We had a special guest on from Kentucky that night. And so I apologize for last Sunday. But I don't know if it's Blog Talk Radio or if it's my internet connection or if it's my phone system. I just don't know. I know I received an email from Blog Talk apologizing for the mishaps and communication problems a couple times already. And I know a few of my supporters, they complain when they log in that, they're constantly receiving spam and ads, pop-up ads, and, they try to log into the chat room and you get pop-up ads here and there, and it slows down their computer, and which I understand. It's frustrating. Nobody wants to see that nonsense. They really don't. I don't. I know that for a fact. Even if I was posting an ad advertising my personal products, I wouldn't want to do that to people, I would want to give people the option to read the ad, not shove it in their face. Because, people have, maybe you're in a rush or, you got something important to look up and you got ads popping up. Slows you down. That's annoying. So I don't blame people when they get frustrated with these ads. But like I said, my name's Joseph Gibson. We're on Blog Talk Radio. We're 100% live. And I've noticed several of my supporters are not on the caller lines tonight. We don't have that many people on the caller line tonight, which is fine by me. Hey, I'm going to do my thing and talk. And those who want to chip in tonight, you're more than welcome to. And those who don't, hey, I understand. Maybe there's things going on. People got stuff going on. I completely understand. I didn't really advertise the show. Maybe you think because of what happened on Sunday, we weren't going to have a show today. Because, people are very irritable. But, we're going to go ahead and talk about a few things tonight. I promised one of my friends on the social network I was going to bring this story up tonight. And it's a disgusting story. It really is. And I'm going to read the story a little bit to you, and I'm going to comment on it. And then I got a couple other things I want to play, and then I'll get to the couple callers that want to talk tonight. But Farmers Branch, Texas, the Farmers Branch Police Chief, Sid Fuller, says the department policy does not allow for off-duty officers in their personal vehicles to initiate a pursuit of a suspect. Apparently, there was an off-duty officer that saw two teenagers breaking into their own car, okay? Obviously, they must have locked the keys in it or something. I've done that before. And he spotted them breaking into a car, and he automatically assumed they were trying to steal the car without questioning them. But I'm going to go ahead and read, and then I'll tell you more. You're going to read between the lines here. It is one potential department policy violated by Officer Ken Johnson leading up to the fatal shooting on Sunday night in Addison. Under the city's general orders, pursuits will only be initiated for felony or life-threatening situations or where the suspect poses an immediate risk to public safety. I guess breaking into a car doesn't pose an immediate risk to public safety, does it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if when people drop their cell phones on the ground, it's a risk to public safety because they panic. But anyway, there's a difference between on-duty and off-duty, Fuller said, and policy on what to do when off-duty is not clear-cut. It does read in one section that taking action on misdemeanor offenses is discouraged. Another portion of the department's policy on off-duty action reads that officers will not become involved in the pursuit of traffic violators while operating privately owned vehicles. Okay? But one part of the department's policy is very clear. Officers may not intentionally use their vehicles to bump or ram the suspect's vehicle. On surveillance video, it appears Johnson rams his SUV into Cruz's red Dodge Charger at the end of the pursuit. There's no policy that allows for that, Chief Fuller said. Moments after the vehicle was stopped at the intersection of Marsh Lane and Spring Valley, a witness took a video that also appears to show Officer Johnson pointing a weapon at the vehicle. Farmers Branch general orders on vehicle pursuit, responsibilities, and general conduct and use of force were obtained under an open records request by WFAA. According to General Order 200-04, responsibilities and general conduct off-duty and out-of-uniform officers are only supposed to take enforcement action if failure to do so would result in injury or death or substantial property loss to any person. And says the two suspects, identified by family members as Jose Cruz and Edgar Rodriguez, were breaking into his personal vehicle at an Addison apartment complex, and he gave chase. Addison Police Chief Paul Spencer says detectives are still working to locate eyewitnesses and are retrieving surveillance video to assist them in their criminal investigation. Our goal is to conduct a thorough and accurate investigation, and that takes time, Spencer said. Yeah, how much time? Farmers Branch police are conducting an internal investigation. Chief Fuller of Farmers Branch says he's waiting for the criminal investigation to finish up before moving forward on any personal matters. Oh, boy. Spencer said at a Tuesday afternoon update that he expected to receive a written statement from Officer Johnson, on what happened by the end of the day. Chris Livingston, the attorney representing Johnson, said late Tuesday a statement would likely be submitted to Addison and Farmers Branch investigators simultaneously by the end of this week. So he just said it'd be by the end of the day. See how they double-talk themselves right there in the same paragraph. By the end of the day, now he says the end of the week. Jose Cruz's family showed up to the Farmers Branch Justice Center wailing Tuesday morning. They were hugging each other, crying out over and over. He didn't have to shoot, and, there was no justice. Cruz's mother broke down saying, "Why did they kill my son without reason?" Police say they'll take the time necessary to do a full investigation. And, of course, the police chief says, my heart goes out to this family, Farmers Branch Police Chief Sid Fuller said. Big deal. Chief Fuller also says there's nothing he can say to make their pain go away. He and Addison's police chief met with the family for about 20 minutes privately and told them what he could. We're working very, very hard, almost around the clock, to ensure the family has some idea of closure and ultimate resolution to this thing. And blah, 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 blah. Ultimate resolution. You gunned down my 16-year-old son because he's trying to get into his car? Bullshit. And that cop is still on the force patrolling around, getting his paycheck? If I gun somebody down, guaranteed, because I see them breaking into a car, whether or not I'm right or wrong, I'm going to be detained right there on the spot and given a $500,000 bond, so I can't fight the case. So I'm trapped in a concrete box. Why is this maggot still on the streets? You gunned down my son, let me tell you something. I may become a fugitive. And we all can read between the lines there and what I'm getting at. These police have too much power. Too much. And the fact of the matter is he was off duty. Mind your own goddamn business. Driving around, probably being RoboCop, because he's off duty. He's not wearing his uniform. So what the hell is he doing patrolling around? He sees something suspicious? Well, you should have picked up your cell phone and called your buddies, your brothers, at the police department and told them to investigate, not take matters into your own hands. Now you murdered one innocent teenager and another one's laying in the hospital in critical condition. It'll be brushed under the rug. There'll be no justice served. Of course, if 5 years from now the mother or family member of this individual, puts a couple in a police officer someplace, if you know what I mean, if they did, he'd be a monster of society, would he? Would he? I don't think so. I'd give him a medal. You know what? This is one of the problems. Now, listen, I do support a lot of the police out there. We can't have anarchy. We can't have anarchy. We understand that. Family shows I did in the past. Family and friends. Community policing. Why can't I watch my neighbor's house? If someone's breaking into my neighbor's house, why can't I stop the perpetrator? Why can't I watch my neighbor's kids playing in the front yard? Why can't family and friends stick together? Why do we have to call 911? When I see a crime happening or I see a woman being beat up by her husband, why do I have to call 911? Because the police are not going to get there until the crime has actually occurred anyway. So why can't I intervene as a fellow member of society, a fellow human being, a fellow American? Why? We don't do that anymore, do we? We got to call 911. Call 911. Call the police. There's an accident on the side of the road. Why don't I pull over and see if everyone's hurt? We need a police officer there to fill out paperwork. We know what happened. That camera's on every damn street corner anyway. So why do you need a cop there filling out paperwork? I think you know what I mean and what I'm talking about here. This story here just disgusts me. It really does. That's just one of the stories I wanted to talk about tonight. Before I get to any callers, I wanted to play something that I downloaded over the week, and people need to understand something. You have no rights out there anymore, and we've gotten into this argument on this show. People say my constitutional rights, blah, 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 blah. Well, this is a little comedy, but it goes to the truth. Okay? It's about 6 minutes and 15 seconds long. Can you spare 6 minutes? I know everyone's out in a rush out there, and those of you who are on the line waiting to call in, be a little patient. Okay? It's about 6 minutes long, and I think you'll enjoy it. It tells the truth. We'll go ahead and play it now.
Life is filled with interesting things. That's why I could never commit suicide. I'm having too much fun keeping an eye on you folks, watching what you do, human behavior. That's what I like. Humans do some really interesting things. Like, besides killing ourselves, we also kill each other. Murder. And we're the only ones who do that, by the way. Humans are the only species on Earth that deliberately kills members of another species for personal gain or pleasure. Sometimes it's just fun. We're also the only species that deliberately kills members of another species for personal gain or pleasure. That's what hunters do. They kill for pleasure. That's us. Human beings. Interesting folks. Murderers. Here's an interesting form of murder we come up with. Assassination. You know what's interesting about assassination? Well, not only does it change those popularity polls in a big fucking hurry, but it's also interesting to notice who it is we assassinate. You ever notice who it is? Stop to think of who it is we kill. It's always people who've told us to live together in harmony and try to love one another. Jesus, Gandhi, Lincoln, John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, John Lennon. They all said, try to live together peacefully. Bam! Apparently, we're not ready for that. Yeah, that's difficult behavior for us. Not too bright, folks, not too bright. But if you talk to one of them about this, if you isolate one of them, you sit them down rationally, and you talk to them about the low IQs and the dumb behavior and the bad decisions, right away they start talking about education. That's the big answer to everything. Education. They say we need more money for education. We need more books, more teachers, more classrooms, more schools. We need more testing for the kids. You say to them, well, you know, we've tried all of that, and the kids still can't pass the test. They say, oh, don't you worry about that. We're going to lower the passing grades. And that's what they do in a lot of these schools now. They lower the passing grades so more kids can pass. More kids pass, the school looks good, everybody's happy, the IQ of the country slips another 2 or 3 points, and pretty soon all you'll need to get into college is a pencil. Got a pencil? Get in there, it's physics. Then everyone wonders why 17 other countries graduate more scientists than we do. Education. Politicians know that word. They use it on you. Politicians have traditionally hidden behind 3 things: the flag, the Bible, and children. No child left behind. No child left behind. Oh, really? Well, it wasn't long ago you were talking about giving kids a head start. Head start, left behind. Someone's losing some ground here. But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, the wealthy, The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media news, all the big media companies. So they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. You know something? They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long, where they tell you what to believe all day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Man. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it. But say what you want about American folks. Yeah. You can say what you want about Americans. You can call them smart, dumb, ignorant, innocent, naive, gullible, easily led, whatever you want. You're going to have to deal with them. You're going to have to deal with them because you're in the television business now. You got the all-suicide channel on cable TV.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and end that right there. I told you it was about 6 minutes long. But he basically breaks it down. And it's pretty sad. Yeah, it's funny and all, but it's pretty sad because that's just the way it is. It's true. We all complain about it, but we don't do anything about it. I want to start getting to some of the callers that are on the line waiting. Some of them have been holding for a while. So I want to start connecting them. Maybe they got some comments or they have something they want to share. I've got a few on the line. I think about 4 callers on the line. I'm going to start right from the bottom. So area code 206. The last 4 digits of your phone number is 5878. I'm going to go ahead and connect you right now. I don't know who this is. Hopefully I connected them. Hey, how you doing tonight? You're live on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to know, did you think that George Carlton thing was entertaining at all?
I think it was meant to be entertaining. It was meant to be, but it was also meant to bring about a point. And I don't know what your position is on that, or the New World Order, or the point he was trying to make. And if you know about George Carlton, he was absolutely anti-government, and he knew the system was rigged, and he stated that. And he did it in a funny way. And maybe sometimes we need to be brought those types of ideas or facts in a funny way to get the message across. What do you think?
I think that you worded that perfect. I was really surprised that you even came back with that. Very well put.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
And you know what? Honestly, I thought it was funny, but I don't really think that it's as bad as we actually believe. And when it comes down to it, I think it's more of just being lied to. I hear this common thing coming up about the New World Order, and so many people that tell me about it, they get their ideas from what used to be the History Channel, YouTube, and all these crazy places. So I think it's just one big conspiracy that some people just created.
Well, okay, so just, I mean, and you're entitled to your belief or opinion, and you obviously think there's some sort of foundation to it, but you believe that it's being blown out of proportion, basically.
Sure, yes.
Okay, well, the New World Order is not a new idea. I mean, I don't know what your faith is or what you believe in. I myself believe in God, and I believe there's a God out there who created us, and I do believe that the Bible is true. I've studied theology, and the New World Order is actually an old idea, and it's been thought of by men for many, many years to bring about a one world order. And I do believe from my research that there are people out there, and there's actually another clip I wanted to play tonight. I don't have it. I didn't get it. You know who Newt Gingrich is, the former Speaker of the House, correct?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I had a clip tonight I wanted to play where he openly admits there are secret societies out there who control the world. And Donald Trump, they were on the subject of Donald Trump, and that's why the media and establishment hate him so much, that he's not a member of this club.
Please don't tell me you're a Donald Trump supporter.
Well, who are you supporting, if you don't mind me asking?
Honestly, in this race, I think everybody's an idiot. But if I have to go towards anybody at this point, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Ted Cruz.
Okay. So we're basically on the same page then. So if you said Hillary, I'd be like flipping out on you.
Well,
I mean, you're entitled to your,
Yeah, honestly, I don't really think that in this one it's good at all. But honestly, Donald, you had a decent point until up there. Donald Trump is a complete joke.
Do you really think that? Why do you believe that, in your opinion? Why do you believe that?
Well, I believe it because, first off, the guy is so full of himself, and he can't be told anything that's wrong. He can't look at it from any other side except for his own. He thinks he's always right. He has no real plans that he's came up with and told anybody about during this race. He definitely turns around and says, don't worry about it. I'm going to have the best people working on it. Well, screw that. I am going to worry about it. This is my life that you're talking about, and this is my country that I served. I don't want to turn around and just give you the vote because you say you guarantee it. He's a salesman, and he sold this country, and people are backing him without any real strong thing except for they love what he says. And trust me, when it comes down to that, I'm entertained too.
I'll agree with you there where he doesn't want to listen to any other side of the story. I'll agree with you there. But have you visited his website? He does have a very detailed plan. He does outline his plan and what he would do as president. He does have that on his website, but I'll agree with you on the other point. He does not want to listen to anyone else, and that concerns me too. But Ted Cruz, you support Ted Cruz. Can we really trust Ted Cruz? He's being backed now by the Bush family.
You can't really trust anybody in there, but that doesn't mean that we hand it over to the first idiot that comes along because he has this great game of talking. First off, you don't turn around and somebody join the military as an enlisted man and you put him up as a general. You want to know why? Because it's going to screw everything up. And I don't care how good that enlisted man sounds, it's not going to work. He doesn't understand how things run. He might understand his business because he built it from the ground up. Who wouldn't understand that? And he had a lot of money to back him at first. But I don't want my money backing him.
Well, you're absolutely correct. I mean, that's an interesting point of view. I mean, I do support Trump. I'm not going to lie to you and bullshit. Yeah, I'm going to tell you the truth. I do support him.
You don't see it that way.
Yeah, and well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you're obviously knowledgeable, but I respect your point of view. I'm not going to argue with you and say you're wrong. You need to support Trump, but at the same time, I understand why you support Ted Cruz. But like you said, whoever we get in there, are things really going to change? Are they?
No.
Exactly.
No, you're right.
Exactly. But
you know what? It was
while
real
I have
pleasure talking to you, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And anytime you call in, or if you want to call in, hey, your opinion is always welcome. You seem knowledgeable and well spoken. I thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Okay, I'll mute him right now. I got Joe from Meriden, Connecticut on the line. I'm going to go ahead and connect him right now. Joe, go ahead, Joe.
I'm here. You hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
That was a nice caller. Very, very, very nice, right to the point, full of knowledge. That was nice.
Well, it's good to hear from different. Yeah, it's good to hear from different perspectives. And like I said, I'll listen to what he has to say. And I wasn't going to snowball him and say, "Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you." Just to gain his support. Hey, I'm a Trump supporter, and he put his argument very professionally, and that's how it should be put. Not like it is today with these Black Lives marchers and all this nonsense going on, where people don't have a right to speak, or they're a racist, or and. But anyway, Joe, I don't want to cut you. Go ahead and say what you got to say and what's on your mind tonight.
Well, he made up some points there. He said it's not as bad as we believe. Well, he's actually right. It's worse than most of us even know. We don't even know what's going on. For instance, whether Trump gets the delegates or not, they still may not pick him for nomination. They could pick someone else because you know what? Your vote doesn't matter. Your vote doesn't matter at all. They can turn around and pick anybody they want to run for president. So it's actually worse than we think. And I believe Ted Cruz is also a good man. He's got some good ideas, but he's super polished, and it's what's behind him, like you said, who's backing him, because it's you take the money, and you've got to live up to that later on. So that's not a good thing.
Well, I think the last caller was actually, he was kind of looking for a little bit of a debate. I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect him now that he hung up, but because he even said, "I'm surprised at your answer. That was pretty good." And that's how it is on this show. I respect everyone's opinion as long as you're professional and you bring your point across, like you just said, Joe, you're a supporter of the show. You've heard other guests call in, and if you bring your point across professionally, thank the good Lord we haven't had any nutcases call in and start threatening me or like they do in my emails or anything like that. But the caller was well-spoken, and we had a disagreement, but I agreed with him 50% of the way. Hey, anything's better than freaking Hillary, I'll tell you that right now.
Anything's better than a Democrat, that's right. And you had George Carlin on there, and I'll tell you what, isn't he correct? And you know what?
Well, that's right. And that was another question. Yes, did you think that was entertaining? Well, in a way, yeah, it was, and he had to bring it. Do you think he could get up on stage and talk about those matters seriously with the dumbed-down people we have in society today? Not the last caller, not you, Joe, and not the people listening. People today just don't understand, so he brought it in a funny way,
Yeah, and that's my point about Carlin there. He had a good speech there that everybody listened to, and I would think everybody who hears that would more or less, he's right, yeah, that's the way it is. But, one of the points he said that he's right on, that nobody probably got, nobody cares. And he's absolutely right.
You're right.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Yeah. That's the problem. We're in America. We got our cell phones. We got our TVs on and everything right. Everything's all right, we got our constitutional rights. You can vote. You got freedom of choice. You got the vanishing pension. You got your insurance, right? Until you need it. Until you vote with your freedom of choice, and they pick somebody else. Until you have your pension, and then when you're too sick and you need it, and it's gone. Till you get your disability insurance, then you become disabled. Oh no, you don't cover that. That's a pre-existing condition, and you're too sick and too old to do anything about it. And may say, read the fine print. Well, you know what? You can't read the fine print because it's all legalese. You got to take it to an attorney and give him $5,000 for him to interpret it, and he's probably generally going to be wrong when you go back to him and say, well, what do you want from me? I'm only an attorney.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely correct. And look, remember a couple of weeks ago when I called the White House and I attempted to get a hold of one of my representatives. What did they do to me? They passed the buck to the next guy, to this guy, to that guy, and, I got nowhere. All I got was a bunch of yeses and nos, and I never got an answer. And I got phone numbers to call. That's great. That ended up with a voicemail at the other end where nobody's ever going to call me back, and they haven't. Listen, I'm going to say that about Donald Trump. I contacted his campaign staff to get someone from his staff onto this show. And they emailed me things about donating money and registering as a supporter first. I told them, no, I'm not registering nowhere. I want you to register with me. I got some questions. I got some people on my show who want to ask you some questions. So let's talk. And they had no response for me. So like George Carlin said, I'm not a part of the big club.
That's right.
I'm not in the club.
And have we ever thought, have we ever pondered, have we ever looked into that maybe this is what they want? They want the Sanders up there to make Hillary look better. They want Trump up there to make
That's what
Cruz
I was thinking.
look better.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Right.
Maybe all this is a game anyway.
Right, because let's face it, it's like I said, they can pick whoever they want anyway. But you know what? Let's give everybody a good show because we can't show that we're downright deceptive and liars.
You're absolutely correct, and that's what I was thinking. Maybe the establishment, like the last caller was saying, he's trying to sell something. Well, maybe this is all a big joke, and maybe they're doing this on purpose to get him into office and set him up, or whatever. Because we can analyze it all day long, but maybe we're being lied to, and this is all a ploy. I mean, why are they constantly concerned about Trump? Tell me. When Ron Paul was running, and we knew Ron Paul was sincere, he did it his whole life. He was a politician, and he fought against the Federal Reserve. He was against the New World Order. He openly spoke against it. They never gave him any press time at all. But Donald Trump, he gets it anywhere he goes.
Yeah, well, Trump is spouting what America is basically about and what people want to hear and the way things should be. That's what he's doing, and that's why everybody likes him. And the other caller said it right. And if it wasn't for that, he wouldn't be anywhere where he is.
Well, yeah, that's possible. That's true. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
I had the other. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Well, no. I was talking about the other two callers that were on the line. They got to press 1 again if they want to talk, and I guess they disconnected themselves. That's why I always tell everyone, listen, press 1 and wait. You have to wait your turn. If you keep pressing 1, there's nothing I could do. I just can't hang up on someone to get to you. Wait your turn. I will allow you to have a voice on this program. Okay, so I lost those two. So, Joe, finish up your point, and actually we'll probably within the next 10 minutes start wrapping it up unless someone new chimes in. Go ahead.
All right. Well, we're talking about pop-up ads on Blog Talk and everything. That's actually terrible. And what's even worse than that, I listen to this 3-hour radio show, and out of the 3 hours, there's over 60 minutes of advertisement. So you know what? I never actually listen to the show. And when I turn on the TV, as soon as an ad pops up, I turn the channel or I turn the TV set off. I don't even bother watching it. So, what they really should do is they want to put 60 minutes of ads on for a 3-hour show. Well, then put them on during the first hour or something. You know what? Because there are plenty of people out there that would love to listen to just the ads and not the show, and vice versa. That's what I think. Because I don't know about everyone else, but you know what? I'm not going to sit here and have it forced down my throat. I'm just going to turn it off and do something else.
Well, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct, Joe. But I appreciate your call. If you got anything else you want to add, I'll close it out with. I got a couple announcements to make. So go ahead, and if you got anything else, let me know.
Yeah, no, I think I've said a mouthful for this evening. That's about enough.
All right, great. And if there's anyone else who wants to contribute, like I said, listen, you gotta press 1 time. The phone number 657-383-0616. I know I had a couple other callers on the line, and if you couldn't wait, if you got something going on, I understand and I appreciate it. But listen, on Sunday, our next show Sunday is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to have most likely a fellow Blog Talk radio show host that's going to be my guest, and that's going to be an interesting show. So those of you who are listening tonight, you might want to, and he's going to bring his listeners over to my program that night, so we should have a great following. And what we're trying to do on Blog Talk Radio is, like we discussed, unite the alternative media because listen, it's all about popularity in America. Wow, he's got a lot of people listening to him. I better listen, wow, he's important. Let me take a picture with him. Let me post some selfies up. That's what it's all about in America today. How much we have, what we're worth, and how good we are. But you know what? So what we're doing on Blog Talk Radio is we're uniting the hosts, where we can bring each other's listeners in and support each other, so we can build up a good, strong alternative media campaign where we can have a strong voice. Now, I've brought important guests on this program, so that's why I have a lot of respect. I mean, I had the Prime Minister of Canada on this show. I had a leading attorney from the Chinese embassy on this program. I've had nonprofit organizations on this program. We addressed CPS, or the last two guests we had on this program, which were powerful shows. And I'm trying to get more people who are victims of CPS to come on, but they're a little bit afraid. So we need to unite. So on Sunday, most likely, I'm going to have a fellow Blog Talk radio show host on this program, and he's going to talk about his venture into alternative media, and he has many more years than I do of experience on Blog Talk Radio. So, and like I said, the platform is always open to everybody. You got a story you want to share, you have something you want to talk about, you have an issue that needs to be addressed. Look, we called the White House because a couple of my callers said that's good radio and they wanted me to do it. Well, when we called the White House, they were nowhere to be found. All right, I went ahead and did it anyway. The show's archived. I needed those callers to call in that night to help me out and support me, and they were nowhere to be found, like they always are. Okay, they tell me to do something or request something from me, and I do it, and they blow me off on the next show. That's why I don't pay too much attention to what people really want. All right, I do what I think is best for my listeners, and if you can respect that, great. If you can't, go someplace else because you're no good to me anyway. Because like I said, without my listeners, I don't have a program. Because if you're not going to listen and you're going to respect me and support my show, I have no program. So those of you who do support me from show in and show out, and even the new callers that called in tonight, and my friend out in Nevada, where's he been? I don't know. Joe in Sebastian, Florida, he's MIA. I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe I need to call him and find out if he's still alive, because you can't get an answer from anybody, that's for sure. We already talked about the American family. We know about that. But listen, Sunday should be a very important show. And like I said, I always give everyone an opportunity to share their story on this program. This program is archived. You can always go back and download it, play it for your friends, send it to your friends, email it to your friends, post it on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all these social networks. You can get your word out. You got a voice? Use it. What good is a voice if you're not going to use it? What are you talking, nonsense? You talking smack? You talking nothing that's worth anything? Well, we know most people do. Use your voice for something important. Get the word out. Talk about the issues that concern you and everyone else in your community and family. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to wrap it up. Hey, we had a pretty good show tonight anyway. I appreciate all the people logged into the chat room tonight. And I'm going to look into why I cannot get more people into the chat room. Why, I do not know. Usually I can only get up to like 16, 17 people tops. And why, I do not know. But I thank the new caller that called in tonight. He's more than welcome to call in anytime in the future, and because he's well-spoken. And goes for all my other supporters also. So God bless. Take care. Good night.
councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
But I also believe that a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals.
When a silent majority allows their nation to lose its common sense, that nation is lost, and you are allowing them to take your country away from you. Is it common sense to adore at the altar of multiculturalism? Read your world history. Not one nation has survived as a multiculture. It's the uniculture that is your strength. One country, one culture, one language. Is it common sense that 84% of the people want to make English the official language of America, but your majority political party espouses insanity, ignores the people, and says no? Is it common sense that 53 countries, mostly in Africa, have declared English to be their national language, and the party who declares we will unite you says press 2 for Spanish? Is it common sense to adopt your new national religion of diversity when the very word means disunity? We founded a country on similarities, not diversities. One country, one culture, one language. You cry out for unity, but is it common sense to continue to identify yourselves by your ethnicities and not your nationalism? White-America, Black-America, Chinese-America, Hispanic-American, gay and lesbian-American, the Black Caucus, the Hispanic Caucus, the Women's Caucus. You want unity? Change your language. Isn't it time, once again, we all became just plain Americans? Or is that too much common sense? Is it your new common sense now to stand up and cheer when a presidential candidate wants to hand over the health care system to that same government who has run Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and 12 other entitlement programs into bankruptcy? A government bureaucracy who can't run a railroad, your airports, secure your borders, or find 15 to 20 million illegal aliens. That same government that allows Islamic women to take their driver's license picture wearing a neck scarf covering their face because it offends their belief. What's next? Allowing the Ku Klux Klan wearing their hoods? Is it common sense to bankrupt the American Treasury? Fighting wars for countries whose silent majority won't fight for themselves? Your debt is now $9.4 trillion. Is it common sense to continue to give away $9 billion of taxpayer money to unfriendly countries in foreign aid, including $2 billion a year to Egypt, who votes against the United States 80% of the time in the United Nations? All this while your own inner cities crumble. 40% of your high school graduates can only read or write at a 4th grade level. You have to import people from China and India for your high-tech industry because you haven't got enough smart people in America. And New Orleans and the flood victims of Iowa continue to be forgotten. This is madness. Lay down your misplaced global burden and rebuild America first. You can't support the world while neglecting your own country. Are you unifying the country with common sense when both of your presidential candidates cry out, we must show compassion for the 15 to 20 million invaders from south of your border? But not one word of compassion for the overburdened American taxpayer who is forced to subsidize the invaders by paying over $250 billion of their hard-earned money to establish America as the welfare department of a failed, corrupt foreign country. Are you unifying your country with common sense by sending out your utility bills and your Social Security checks in Spanish? Legal and illegal immigrants have no incentive to learn your unifying language because you make it easy for them not to assimilate. How many of you write in big letters across that bill, English only, please, and send it back? Stop bending over backwards to accommodate every other culture but your own. Is it common sense to allow your activist judges to ignore your history, your culture, your Declaration of Independence, and every other founding document to remove God from public life? And endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, their creator. Not the ACLU, not the will of the atheist, or the anti-Americans that sit on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco. Separation of church and state, yes. Separation of God from public life, never intended by your founding fathers. Is it common sense that the very political party who claims to be the party of the people and shouts, "We will bring change," consistently stops all common sense legislation to secure your borders, establish workplace verification, and stop taxpayer money for illegals? They call themselves progressive global thinkers. We had another word for them in 1776. We called them traitors. This happened all once before. 232 years ago, it led to revolution and thousands of dead in the streets. It will happen again unless you take back America now. Join the grassroots movement of the Second American Revolution, not of guns and violence, but pressure, pressure, pressure on your none-representing representatives who created these problems in the first place. This is the most important phone number in your democracy, the Congressional Switchboard. Pick up your phone every day, every hour if need be, and call your representatives and tell them in no uncertain language to listen to the silent majority or else be thrown out on their hindquarters. It's toll-free, and your taxes pay for it. Would you stand by and watch your family perish when you have the power to save them? Of course not. Then why are you doing that to your own country? 1-866-340-9281. Perhaps you allow all this destructive, uncommon sense out of a distorted notion of tolerance. Remember what Aristotle said, tolerance is the last virtue of a dying society. You are tolerating the behavior that is destroying you. This wine was once rich, highly desired and admired. But when you dilute it with enough water, it stops being...
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war. But there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better rev than death, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals. He said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.